Hi, I'm Smita here from Smita London, and I'm with Haran Rasalingam from Thought Bubble, Psychotherapy and Coaching. And I wanted to ask you, Haran, what are the misconceptions that you find people have about psychotherapy?
Yeah, that's a great question. So typically there are a few things which often get promoted through sort of social media, pop psychology I call it, which people take on board and then they bring them into the therapy room as if they're facts. So a typical thing that people do is assume that firstly everything has got to have a name. Right, so every issue that you have, every problem in your life has got to have a label. It's got to have some kind of name to it. What have I got? They will often say, have I got this? I think I might have this, or I think I might have that. And it's very tempting for people to think like that. We live in a world where things are packaged in that way, right? So often people will come in treating themselves a bit like a car in the mechanics. They've got some kind of brake pad problem and they need a replacement part or something like that. So often in psychotherapy, we need to challenge that pretty early on and try and normalize their experience, actually. People often think that there's something wrong with them because they're struggling in life. There's something that they're doing wrong. And that's a very popular idea in our day and age, because people think, go to the GP will fix me with a tablet of some kind. But actually, life is not really like that. Life is more about how do we manage things, how do we make sense of things. Maybe we're thinking about it in the wrong way, or maybe there's something that's happened that we need to accept into our lives. So it could be anything. People talk about stress. We all get stressed. It's a normal part of life. Anxiety is absolutely normal. So my branch of psychotherapy is existentialism. So we consider there are certain things which are normal to every single person. Anxiety is one of them. Basically, we're all anxious deep down that we're going to die. And we try and cover it up. That's the reality. We are all going to die. So no matter how many vegetables you eat, that's still going to happen. So people tend to pathologize. They want to put names on everything rather than try to treat their life as, it's an interesting conundrum, like a puzzle to try and solve. How do I get my head around this or that problem? I think another popular thing is people love to talk about chemical imbalance in the brain, and this is a real sticking point for me. I think this whole idea of chemical imbalance and taking antidepressants and so on for this was promoted quite heavily in the 90s, really, as a marketing tool. So people came up with these theories of biological problems with the brain in the 60s, and people latched onto it when they thought they could sell some tablets for it. And so now people talk about chemical imbalance and then say, why does this happen? It's because of the endorphins in your brain or the serotonin or whatever. And that's not the cause of it. If you're depressed, you may have, as a result, depleted levels of this or that chemical, but that's not what caused it. That's just what happens when you feel that way, right? And that doesn't really help you. It doesn't really help you solve your problems. And the other big thing that people get wrong is that they think of themselves as computers. I'm wired like this. This is the way I'm wired, or I'm programmed to be like this. These are analogies which have become as if they're real. And if you go back to the origins of psychotherapy, which was Sigmund Freud, as the famous Freud, that was during the industrial time when steam engines, industrial revolution, steam-powered vehicles were very popular. And at that time, he was always talking about pressure and releasing the pressure. So it's a similar analogy, right? He's thinking about the steam and letting steam out of your body. And nowadays we talk about computers and wiring and things like that. So neither is real. They're just ways of coming up with a picture of trying to understand it. But then people tend to get confused and think of themselves as computers, which is pretty sad.
That's interesting you're saying about being wired. When I have clients and they come in, a lot of them will say, I suffer from anxiety, or my daughter suffers from anxiety, but I've never really heard I'm wired a different way. Is that more a male thing to say?
Oh, quite possibly. It's the way I'm wired.
Yeah, because I've never heard that. And obviously I do see male clients, but my female clients, that just would not be something that they would say. They might say the chemical imbalance, bipolar, that kind of thing, but not really I'm wired. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that is, yes. To use stereotypes, men often come in thinking, right, what's the problem? What's the fix for it?
Right.
The car mechanic thing. It's a very business-like way of treating it. But if you're suffering from grief because you've lost somebody close to you, it ain't going to work like that.
No. And it comes back. That's the thing with anxiety as well. It comes back. Or you can be fine one day and suddenly you feel anxious about something. It could be that you're doing a podcast. Do you know what I mean? Or you're going to have those feelings, and I think that's all these things are inevitable. So why are we always shocked by the fact that we are feeling anxious or we are feeling depressed? Sometimes you wake up one day in the morning and you just think, oh, I feel really down today. I don't even know why.
Yeah. Well, we are meaning-making creatures, right? So in a world, going back to existentialism, we live in a world with no meaning, but we have to make the meaning. So we naturally try to think, why is this happening? How can I fix it? And it can get very frustrating. Something like anxiety, if you start getting panic attacks out of the blue, which people do, and you can't figure out where the hell's it coming from, it's very frustrating and quite upsetting for people. Similarly with depression, people can feel depressed and not really know why. They may have some small inkling, but often it's a lot more complicated to really dig down to what's going on to make people feel the way so badly.
Well, it's interesting because even though at Smita London I'm a facialist and I've always looked at skin and skin health, I actually have been thinking more about anxiety and depression. And I think it was when I went to Cosmoprof to speak about acupressure and facial reflexology, and there was so much about the vagus nerve and bringing down cortisol levels and the parasympathetic nervous system, all of that kind of thing. And I then came across, weirdly enough, at a professional beauty conference, a company that had a machine for, it's a massage machine known as LPG, but it was the way it was sold to me, not that they were trying to sell it, it was for wellness. And I just caught on to the wellness side, and they were then saying it does this, slimming and toning, and you'll lose this many inches off your waist, whatever. But I just grabbed onto the whole wellness side, part of it, the protocol, because it's really interesting. We do need to help with our anxiety and do what we can with it. And I just think something like a massage, which is going to bring down those cortisol levels, will really help. And I think that is something that you probably could say to your patients as well. Do you do anything for your well-being?
Yes.
I know we were talking about myths, but I know I've got sidetracked, but I just suddenly thought, do you ever say, do they do anything for anxiety or
Absolutely.
depression?
It often comes up. I like to get a picture of what their life is like. What do they do in their life? Do they go out? Do they walk a dog? Do they do exercise? Do they go to the gym every day? Do they just sit in front of the TV? You need to know somebody's lifestyle to properly work with somebody in psychotherapeutic terms. I guess it's the same for you, Smita, that the more you know about a person, the better the profile you have of that individual, and you can treat them more effectively.
Obviously, look, there are thousands of people, millions of people out there who are depressed, who've got anxiety, and they can't afford to have these treatments. That's another thing. But so where does that go? They can't have the lovely LPG massage treatment. What happens there? But just knowing that there is something that can make you feel better, a cup of tea. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Just remember in the old days it was have a cup of tea.
I will give them all the advice to deal with these things, because you're quite right. A lot of it is about self-help, and I don't mean reading some crappy self-help book. I'm talking about what are you actually doing in your life which is going to benefit your health, going to benefit your mental health and your physical health. It's really true. So you've asked me about myths in psychology, right? There must be equivalent myths in the world of Smita London.
I have had a lot of clients saying, "Oh, this pill isn't stinging. Why?" And and I just want to laugh. Not everything has to hurt for it to work.
Oh, right. They want it to hurt,
because some people get used to anything astringent on their skin or anything that causes sensitivity on their skin is going to heal their skin, or it's going to improve their skin somewhat, but. that's not always true. And you can do, some peels do hurt. That's true, because they're really, really deep peels, but it's got to be for the right person. Yeah?
Right.
So if you've got a client who's quite sensitive, I'm not going to be using a really strong peel on them. Their skin needs to be able to tolerate it. So that's one of the things.
Maybe they don't feel like they're getting their money's worth unless
they want a bit of pain. It's even with massage.
No
isn't
pain,
it?
no gain.
It is true. When I go for a massage, if I feel like they're just tickling me, I just want to be like...
True, actually. If I come out of a massage and I don't feel anything afterwards, I think...
Yeah. What did you do there? Come on, get those wellies on and come on, a bit of, I don't know, give me some
the opposite
massage.
of tender loving care. Brutal care.
Exactly. But I just think... So, but with the skin, you've got to be mindful of the client and what they can tolerate.
Right.
But that's one of them. Another myth is, you need to exfoliate. We do need to exfoliate. We all need to exfoliate. But over exfoliation, that's what I don't
So what's
want.
over exfoliating?
So exfoliating every day and your skin is all shriveled up. No, that's just too much. It's too much for the skin, because you need to have, your skin doesn't naturally desquamate. That means it doesn't naturally exfoliate as you get older. So when you're young, all those dead layers are coming off. So you get a spot on your cheek. After a few weeks, that spot's gone when you're young, right?
Because when you're young, the skin just regenerates.
But as you get older, it doesn't regenerate. Okay. And if you're not sleeping enough, it's definitely not going to regenerate, right? So what you do is that you've got to encourage that regeneration. So you've got to exfoliate. But some people take it to the nth degree. Exactly. And they're like, I've exfoliated every day. And like, no, that's too much. So that's just something that people like to do. Some people think, I only need to wear sunscreen in the summer or when I'm on holiday.
So Smita, you're a big one on sun cream, because I don't know anyone that hasn't suffered the wrath of Smita when it comes to sun cream. Because I always thought of, if it's really hot outside and I'm going to be outside for a long time, I'll put some sun cream on. And probably only if I'm on holiday.
But that's because you want a tan. You're thinking, I want a tan. I want to be... But the point is that you still get tanned when you're wearing sunscreen. But when you get a tan, that's your body telling it's like your body basically reaching out and telling you that actually this is bad. This is bad. So really? A tan is bad. It's trying to add
the protective barrier.
And so... Obviously, I've got darker skin than you, so I will have that bit more added sun protection.
Is it?
Yeah, I've got more melanin, but I've got added sun protection a bit more than maybe you. But that doesn't mean that I still shouldn't be wearing sun protection, because
I think that is a myth, right? A lot of people think if I've got darker skin, I don't need sun. But
and
that's
that's
wrong.
Not true at all. Everybody needs sun protection, and what I wanted to say about that is that we're not just protecting against UVB rays, which are the burning rays. We actually want to protect against UVA, which are the aging rays as well. So, and people don't even understand that. They think, well, I was in the car. I've got clients who will say to me, I didn't put anything on my face this morning because I knew I was coming to you. And I'm like, well, it's 12 o'clock. So you haven't protected your skin from 8 till 12. You've done a school run.
But is that normal? Do people do that though?
Yeah. What?
Put the sun cream on.
They should. And because you're driving and the sun is blasting in your face, you know how strong that sun can be. I get a tan even in my treatment room. I can't believe I get a tan through the window, and I haven't got huge windows or anything. They're not floor to ceiling windows, but I'm getting a tan. How am I getting a tan? Because the sun is coming through. So I definitely think that that's something that is really, really important. Everybody needs to be wearing sun protection. And I've got this amazing skin analyzer by a company called Apatra.
Yes.
Apatra London have this skin analyzer called the Dome, and when people put their faces into this analyzer,
I did it once.
You are horrified because you can actually see what's going on underneath the surface of your skin.
Yes.
And maybe your skin can look younger than you are, but actually the damage is shocking. And I think everybody...
and you can't see it to the naked eye.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is a myth. But there are loads of other myths. Myths about you need to have a facials don't work, or certain facials work more than others. And I always say to my clients, listen, you are an individual. I've got to look at your skin and tell you what you need, and don't just think about what your friend has, because that's also a myth. My friend comes to you for this treatment. So why can't I have that? We're the same age. We've all got different skins. We've got all different.
So they try and copy their friends' gene.
We've got totally different skin types,
Right.
skin tone, different DNA. So that is also a myth.
Well, I suppose
in the
Smita London is famous for the bespoke
treatment. Exactly. So that's what I try to do, and it's the same with you. Everything that you do,
Absolutely, there isn't a cookie cutter solution.
Exactly.
To problems. You need to understand the unique person in front of you.
Exactly,
For sure.
Haran. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.